Chapter 21. Neem Karoli is a small village in the Farrukhabad district in the province of Uttar Pradesh. Unknown to the world, this little hamlet, remote and scantily populated, sprung into fame when Maharajji took on its name. It was in Neem Karoli that Baba lived in a cave under the ground and performed austerities for a prolonged period of time. Soon his spiritual aura began to manifest, and accounts of his mystical leelas spread far and wide. There is an oft-quoted anecdote about Maharajji dating to these days. India was still under the British regime at the time, and when a British conductor asked Maharajji to leave a train compartment, the train refused to move without him. All the machinery was checked, and even though the wheels were turning, the train did not move till Maharajji was requested to board again. This and many other such enigmatic incidents led people to throng at the Mathiya hut of Baba Lachman Das, who in time came to be known as Neem Karoli Baba. Ma did not visit Neem Karoli village in Baba's lifetime. Desiring to go there, she once asked Maharajji to take her to Neem Karoli. Maharajji replied that she would indeed go there one day. He said, "When you go, thousands will come. They will dance, sing, and weep before you." In the years that followed, this indeed how it came to be. After Babaji had taken Mahasamadhi, Ma and Choti Mataji went to Neem Karoli and asked the people if they knew anything of the whereabouts of the cave in which he used to live. Almost 3 decades had passed since then, and no one seemed to have an answer for the two mothers. The elders in the village were of course aware of its existence, but they couldn't locate the exact place where the cave was. Over the years, the surrounding land had been repeatedly ploughed by tractors, and now there was harvest all around. The mothers went to the nearby fields the next morning, accompanied by a crowd of local people, all speculating on the location of the cave. A very old man walked up to Ma, and turning to the gathering, he said, "Why are you looking here and there? Start digging at that spot where mother's foot is." The men started digging, and the mud hollowed in to reveal the existence of the cave. In spite of the passage of time and the ravages of nature, the fragrance of Havan Samagri pervaded the air the moment an opening into the cave was made. A suitable entrance was carved out. It was like a mud tunnel with a clay partition dividing into 2 chambers. The upper half had pieces of coal and ash from the Havan. Evidently, this was where Baba performed his spiritual practices. Ma picked up some relics from there. 2 metal clasps which had perhaps been used to bolt a small door that separated the caves into 2 halves. 2 balls of clay which in that part of Uttar Pradesh were used to represent Gauri and Ganesh, and the iron tong with the words Baba Lachman Das engraved on it. She even picked up the pieces of coal scattered around and the vibhuti or sacred ash that was found in the cave. Around that time, an old man in the village, unable to walk because of age, asked to be carried to Ma. When he came to her, he narrated that before leaving Neem Karoli, Maharajji had given him an iron tong, asking him to keep it safe and to give it back to him when he returned. Maharajji did not come to Neem Karoli after that, and he took Mahasamadhi in 1973. The old man then narrated to Ma that Maharajji had come in his dream and told him that Ma was in Neem Karoli and that he should give the thongs to her. The mothers brought all these relics back with them to Kechi, and they are safely kept in Maharajji's kuti. As we have seen, Ma's travel plans were almost always spontaneous. Naturally, there could be no planning in advance, and most certainly no prior announcement of her visits was neither possible nor allowed by Ma. As there was no cell phones and telephones in Neem Karoli then, it completely eluded us to how the news of Ma's arrival had spread faster there than any wireless system of today. On reaching Neem Karoli, as we drove off the main road, the car entered the track leading to the Hanuman temple. We crossed the village. There were mud huts with thatched roofs on either side. At the sight of Ma's car, The serene village scene seemed to liven up in an instant. Women doing household chores, men in the fields, children playing on the street, all rushed to the car to catch a glimpse of mother passing by. The shouts of Mataji aa gayi, Mataji aa gayi, Mataji ki jai filled the air. The elders who did not manage to get near the vehicle for Ma's darshan were seen picking up dust from the imprints of the tire on the muddy track and applying it to their foreheads. An atmosphere of festivity pervaded the village. The temple courtyard would be full of devotees awaiting Ma's arrival. The people of Neem Karoli had a deep personal affinity for Ma. Their unembellished and forthright devotion to her made it clear to us that when we were here, Ma belonged to them, and any efforts to control the crowds would fall through, simply because Ma was theirs. This is not Kechi, some of the villagers would tell us in a forthright manner. Here, Maya is ours. Much before sunrise, streams of men and women from villages all around would be seen crossing the fields and pouring into the temple. Women would come with their little babies wrapped in shawls and lay them down on a tattered floor matting on the veranda in front of Hanumanji. The entire courtyard and the surrounding rooftops would soon fill up. They would chant the Hanuman Chalisa till Ma made an appearance at the door, responding to the call of their hearts. This would go on throughout the day. Simple in their devotion, they would all rush forward on seeing her. Maya, Maya, burst forth from every lip. To be close to her, to be able to touch her feet or even her dhoti was all they wanted. Ma would stand in the open patio, visibly melted by their love. On some days, Ma would leave the temple premises and walk out to the fields nearby. Neem Karoli being a productive agricultural zone, the landscape would be a vista of yellow flowering mustard fields or a huge expanse of green wheat. Ma would sit on the grass near one or the other field. Village women would come and crowd around her, and old ladies would hug and bless her as their daughter. Ma reciprocated in the same way and would happily allow them this proximity. Newborns would be thrown into her lap, and she would lovingly fondle them. Newlyweds would take the liberty of holding her hand and placing it on their heads as they sought her blessings. People with ailments would ask Ma for remedies. Orthodox traditions still pervaded in the village that the daughters-in-law were not allowed to go inside their homes except on festival days. The same went for the girls for Neem Karoli who had been married in other villages. They were allowed to visit their parents only on special occasions. But once Ma arrived in Neem Karoli, these constraints were waved aside. All the girls had the freedom to visit Ma. They would come to the temple early and get busy helping in the kitchen. Once this was over, the rejoicing began. Freed of their family duties, they would spend the whole day singing and dancing. They would even compose impromptu songs to express their love for the mothers. A long-time favorite was Mata ke aane se aaye bahar and Meri Kenchi wali Mata. So lost were they in their revelry that in the evening, Ma would have to send a message to tell them to go home before it got dark. There is an observance that girls who have recently given birth do not visit the temple for a few days until the religious ceremonies associated with the child's birth are performed. So girls with newborns would send messages to me to pray to Ma, to give them darshan somehow. I would convey their praise to Ma. Unknown to others, Ma would quietly go out to the temple premises, sit under a tree, and send for them. With tears in their eyes, they would come running and place their babies at Ma's feet. Ma would bless them. She would patiently listen to the hardships in their lives, console them, and guide them. We who accompanied Ma could see how different she was here. It was a yes to every wish and prayer made to her. In Neem Karoli, Ma was Vardayani, the giver of boons. The men in Neem Karoli kept a respectful distance from Ma and got engaged in helping the temple management as the crowd swelled in no time at all. They would bring buckets of milks from their homes as early as 2 a.m. and knock on the door of Ma's kuti, telling us that the milk was specially for the mothers. Each man with the milk bucket had the same message. Maiya ko pila dena. By dawn, there were 18 to 20 buckets of milk lined up outside Ma's room. Ma would ask kheer to be made, which was offered as prasad and then distributed to all who came that day. As the day of Ma's departure came, the crowd would start gathering from the night before. The depth of their pain could be felt in their intermittent sobs as they sang the Chalisa for her. When I think about Neem Karoli now, I remember most of all the couplet that would be recited at the end of the prayers every day by the entire gathering in the temple with great fervor. Baba, Baba sab kahein, मैया कहे न कोई, बाबा के दरबार में मैया कहे सोई होई. Everyone keeps calling Baba. Ma they do not call. They know not that in Baba's court, Ma's word is all.